Hi, everybody. It's Margarita with another episode of People Do Want to Know podcast. Today, I'm interviewing Morgan Raum, the iconic content creator behind the Too Much Food account. Morgan has been running this account for over a decade now, and it has amassed over 300,000 followers on all platforms, including TikTok and Instagram. In addition to her online persona, Morgan has also worked for Logs Club, the members-only Jewish dating app. She also started Shabbat Club, a private club that hosts dinner parties and events in Manhattan. We haven't had anyone on yet that deals with food and restaurants. I thought this would be a fun guest to bring and spice things up. Pun intended. In this episode, we get front row seats into the life of a viral content creator. Morgan talks about her favorite parts of it and what she's learned. We also, of course, discuss her work at Logs Club and dating in general because that's always a fun topic to discuss. We even touch on the challenges Morgan has seen on social media when she's publicly discussed her support of Israel and concern over the rise of anti-Semitism. Morgan and I have been connected since 2020, and it's been really cool to see her growth not only as a content creator, but as a Jewish leader in the community. It feels like she's always coming up with new, innovative projects, and I wanted to give you a glimpse of her work. Without further ado, please enjoy this episode. Hey, Morgan, thanks so much for coming on People Do Want to Know podcast.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Of course. Okay, let's get right to it. Tell us about yourself. What do you do and how did you get there?
I am a food blogger for a living, and I grew up in New York, so I've been doing it since I was in high school. This is year 10. My Instagram is Too Much Food, 3 O's and 2 in food. Everyone always messes that up. And I post on Instagram and TikTok. I'm mostly a restaurant blogger, so I don't make any food. I post all content at different restaurants around the city, mostly New York, sometimes when I'm traveling. And I guess I focus on Jewish food if I had to choose one, but really it is more general, and I love trying new foods and eating around. My adult life, I started as a food writer at People magazine right after college. And then I joined Logs Club as a founding team member. I was the head of membership there. And now I run a Shabbat club. I'm the host for it and do my food blog.
And so now, post-October 7th, how has it been running the account and posting about Jewish things, posting about anti-Semitism, posting about Israel?
Yeah, right after the attacks happened, I started posting right away, and I have family in Israel, so my entire extended family lives there. My mom was born there. I obviously feel very strongly about the issue, and it's very important to me. I wouldn't say right away there was a ton of backlash, but as the weeks went on and I posted about it more, I definitely started to get a lot of hate in my DMs, and there were a couple times when I posted about it and I would lose more than 1,000 followers in one day, within hours, honestly, of my posting. So I've kind of cooled down since then. You know, this is my job, and, no, I don't want the followers who hate Israel. No, I don't want followers who are anti-Semitic. So I've kind of cooled off.
And I know there was a point that you honestly felt like your safety was jeopardized by posting some of these things, because depending on the timing, if you're posting about being at a certain venue or a certain restaurant, people are looking, and I feel like content creators have all eyes on them, and it can feel a little bit dangerous to post about some of those things sometimes.
Yeah, I got one DM that really scared me, and it was somebody who said that they saw me at a restaurant and that if I hadn't been filming, they would have dragged me outside. And they called me a kike. So it wasn't very pleasant. And then I posted a silly little video after the DC rally, and spirits were high there. It was fun. Like, everybody was so happy to be there. I was happy to be there. I drew on a poster on one side of it saying hummus, not Hamas. And on the other side, I said, I'm single. Everyone was laughing at it at the rally because it was like, not a protest. It was fun and everyone was happy to be there. And I posted that online, and it did go viral, but it went viral in 2 very different ways. The first was the entire Jewish community, who I believe most of them thought it was pretty funny. I didn't get much backlash from Jewish people. And then it also went viral in the other way. And on TikTok, there were 100 stitches and duets with the video, some with hundreds of thousands of likes against me, accusing me of supporting genocide, blah, blah, blah. And I had to turn off the comments on all of my videos that I've ever posted because the backlash was so severe and so personal and so scary. I've honestly never seen the internet like that. Like, I saw a dark side of the world that week, and it was scary. And I lost a lot of hope after that. And that's kind of why I've stopped posting as much about Israel, because that week was just so horrendous and scary. And I am still getting comments on every single video that I post, regardless of the issue or the topic. The comments are all accusing me of supporting genocide and asking me how I can live with myself posting other content when all this other stuff is happening in Gaza. And it's not fun, but I ignore it for the most part. So
I'm so sorry that happened. And that's a really uncomfortable thing to face on the regular. And I want to ask you, as someone who faces it head on and very bravely, do you have any words of encouragement or advice, either for young Jewish people on social media or even other content creators?
Yeah, so comment blocks are my best friend. I still review what people say on TikTok, even if they're restricted, but on Instagram, I don't even see what people write if the words are blocked. I would say the number one most important rule that I follow is to not care about what people are saying about me who I don't know. And I saw this funny TikTok the other day that was like, why don't you care about what people are saying about you? And it's because I don't know what they're saying about me. I'm making up in my head what they think about me. And if I don't see their comments, then I don't care about them. Also, if someone has something mean to say, then that's their own problem.
Yeah, ignorance is bliss in that regard for sure. And switching gears now, I want to ask you in general, what do you think is the most rewarding part about being a food content creator, especially in a city like New York with the best food in the world in some cases?
I would say the most rewarding part is hearing from restaurant owners and small business founders who say that I've positively affected or changed their business. And it's really nice. I've gotten some extremely kind messages from people saying that I've completely changed things around for them. And I really like to hear that my work actually affects people in a positive way.
Yeah, and you also mentioned in your bio that you used to work at Lox Club, which is a members-only Jewish dating app. And I wanted to ask you about that. What was it like working for this app, and what did you learn from the dating events that you hosted about young Jewish people? Any fun stories maybe that you can share?
Yeah, so I joined Lox Club the month that they launched in November 2020, and I was there for the next 3 years. So I saw it in all of its iterations back when we were doing virtual events, and then we started doing in-person events, and I curated the guest lists for all of those and helped with marketing. And I was the head of membership, so my role wasn't as much hosting events and organizing them as it was making sure that members were having a good time and that the people at each event enjoy each other's presence. And I really worked on member experience through the app as well, and customer service, all of that stuff. So it was just such a fun place to work. I learned so much about the Jewish world, and I met so many cool Jewish people. And that really kickstarted, I would say, my Shabbat club that I'm hosting, because I drew so much inspiration from Lox Club and the values and practices that I learned there, especially because I worked so closely with the events team. I really figured out, I think, how to host a good event and to make sure that everyone is happy when they're going to them, and, you know, how best to encourage people to actually sign up, how to market them, how to talk to restaurants and bars and communicate with members and etc. So I think I learned a lot from there, and I took the parts that I really liked and I infused them with my own taste and preferences, and now I've started Shabbat Club because of that.
So tell me more about the Shabbat Club. How did you come up with the idea, and what do you do with the club?
Yeah, so I started Shabbat Club unofficially in June. I just wanted to host Shabbats, and I never had before. And I hosted with Millennial Rabbi, who's a rabbi in the city, and we hosted at a gallery in Chelsea. And I just had so much fun. I invited like 60 of my friends. And from then on, I was like, I need to do this again. So I had another one planned with Lox Club that I was hosting myself at Maxwell Social, which is in Tribeca. And I really made that event my own, and I curated the guest list. We had an intimate 25-person dinner. I reached out to every single person that went to that event personally and told them I wanted them there. And I figured they would like somebody else at the event, either at the dinner or the after party where there were 250 more people who came. And I worked so hard on that event, and it was such a success. I actually have 2 friends who met that night, and they have since gotten engaged. And I just really, really loved hosting and bringing all of my friends together and having them meet new friends and new love interests. And that's brought me so much joy that I decided I wanted to host more of them in my own capacity and as Morgan, as Shabbat Club, as Too Much Food, and not with anybody else. So I started Shabbat Club, and coincidentally, I ended up hosting my own event a few weeks after October 7th, which was also a few weeks after I left Lux Club. And it caught momentum very quickly, I think, because of October 7th. The Jewish community just has really wanted to be with each other. And this was, just another way for people to meet each other. And I think that I've collected a lot of friends along the way since I've been at Lux Club and other various situations because I've grown up in New York. And as a result, I started this Shabbat Club because I wanted to hang out with my friends on Friday nights and bring those people together. And the branding and everything about it is all in memory of my Savta, who passed away 2 years ago. So if you see any vintage family photos on there, it's probably my Savta or my Saba and the rest of my family.
So I want to dig into this a little bit more, and I feel like you have a good opinion on this. I think New York Jewish life is seeing either, I don't know if evolution is the right word or a change. If you went to Jewish events pre-pandemic, maybe like 2019, it was really about big organizations like Chabad Young Professionals and the Young Professionals branches of different synagogues hosting these elaborate Shabbats or social events or bringing in speakers. But when I came back to New York City recently in 2023, I noticed that there's been a big change where now the trendiest young Jewish events to go to are these private Shabbat clubs that are organized by either content creators like you or just regular people who are well connected in the community. And it's this concept of a more intimate experience, maybe at a restaurant, maybe in a social club like Maxwell Social. And the vibe has really changed where now it's, I think, a more intentional experience. Is that what you're seeing as well? And do you have an opinion of why we've seen this kind of change?
I think that the big Jewish events hosted by Chabad or other Jewish organizations, they serve one purpose and they are fun and they're huge. But for the most part, I think that's more so quantity over quality and just getting a ton of Jews into one room. And it's kind of like they have to host events, right? That's part of their business model. I would say people have been much more interested in supper clubs and dinner parties, members only situations where the crowds are curated and they don't feel like they're just stepping into another room with 1,000 Jewish people that they've met before or whom they may have no reason to connect with. I think a big part of Lux Club's business model was successful because we were curating our events. We were trying to ensure that people would actually like each other at them. And I took from that, I learned from that is a successful business model. I don't want to just fill a room with 1,000 people. I don't even want to just fill it with 100 people who apply, and I don't just accept them because they applied. I really work hard on every single guest list because I want people to keep coming back. And people go back to these small events because they feel like they're actually meeting each other and because they feel like there's a reason why every single person is in that room. Something I like to encourage with Shabbat Club is that it's friends and friends of friends. And I want every single guest to be vouched for by somebody. And if something goes wrong, then I know who to blame.
That's so funny. Yeah, that's an interesting point. Well, it's been a real pleasure attending some of these more intimate Shabbat dinners because I do agree that thinking about who should come and whether they're likely to be friends or to connect makes a huge difference. I've met some of now my closest friends out of these kinds of events. So it makes me excited to go to them because I know it's the type of people that I'll end up being friends with. So kudos to you and excited for your events that are coming up.
Thank you. And it also makes me so happy because there are so many different little Shabbat group communities. And it's amazing because you can never have too many Shabbats. And there are 700, 800 Jews RSVPing to some of these larger Shabbats. And that really shows you the demand for them. And I'm so glad that so many of them exist. And I'm very close with some of the hosts of these other Jewish groups and Shabbat groups. And we get to host together sometimes and meet each other's friends, and then we invite those people to our events and vice versa, and it's so nice. It's just like a little mini community in itself.
Yeah, absolutely. Another question I have for you around food content creation is you've been doing this for quite a few years, and what I love about your content is you'll go to, the big fancy restaurants, and then you'll go to more hole in the wall, and your food content spans all sorts of cuisines, all sorts of price points. It's very diverse. Now that you've been around the block for quite a bit, how are you choosing your next restaurants, your next destinations to go to and share?
I think for the most part, I'm really going to restaurants that I want to eat at. I'm not somebody who is on Resi setting alarms 30 days in advance trying to get the coolest reservations, in part because I don't know when to do that or how to get those reservations, but also because the exclusivity of different restaurants and the hype around them kind of turns me off. I don't want to wait an hour in line at Double Chicken Please, even though I've heard it's incredible. If I get a reservation there, then sick, and I'll go. But I can't be bothered, honestly, to play all of these reservation games. I tried with Frog Club, which is a new spot I haven't been to, and you have to email and hope that they get back to you. So I tried my luck at that. I emailed them one time and I've already given up because they have ignored all my friends' emails, and I just feel like that's weird business practice. So yeah, I would say I go to restaurants because I want to eat there and because they are within arm's reach. Something that I've been joking a lot about is how I have a super unsophisticated palate and I love fast food. I don't think people are coming to my page because they want the fanciest recommendations and they want to know where to eat caviar. That's not my thing. I'm not usually at fine dining establishments. I just eat what I eat, and people like that. People like the casual food. My favorite dish is Penne Alla Vodka, and I'll follow the Penne Alla Vodka. I think I've established a follower base that has a similar taste in food as I have, and so I feel comfortable posting whatever I want.
So just for my own edification, where is some of the best Penne Alla Vodka?
The most basic answer is definitely Carbone, but their spicy rigatoni vodka is incredible, and I will never say that it isn't. So that's probably my favorite. Cafe Buon Gusto on the Upper East Side has incredible vodka sauce, and you can pair it with any noodle on their menu. Cibo e Vino on the Upper East Side has a really good penne vodka. I haven't had that one in a while, but that was my big college go-to. Oh, and La Pecora Bianca has such a good one. And Ruby's Cafe as well. Okay, that's my top 5.
Those are great. I'm going to go one by one because I too love vodka sauce. I realized this recently. It took me a little bit longer than you, but I think that is my favorite pasta sauce of all time as well.
Yeah, it's so good. But it's hard to find because a lot of restaurants miscategorize their pastas. And they'll say that it's vodka pasta, and I don't taste any vodka at all. It's just tomato sauce a lot of the time. It's very misleading.
Yeah, agreed. And I think a lot of people don't realize that a content creator may be very different in how they appear in their content than they are as a person in regular life. What do you wish more people knew about you that's not captured on camera?
I think a lot of my content comes off as kind of annoying because I feel like I have to put on a persona and a voice for some of it to get people to be interested who I don't know. And then something I've noticed a lot of the time is I'll get on calls with people or I'll meet them in real life and they've only known me through my content up until then. And then on the call, they'll say, "Oh, you're a lot more chill than I thought you were." And I think they just mean like in my demeanor, the way that I'm sitting or the way I'm talking. I don't speak as quickly as I do in my videos in real life. I guess I would say I want people to know that my personality is a lot more mellow than it is on my Instagram.
You know what? Alex Cooper always used to talk about that. That's actually how she met her fiance, I think. She said that he assumed that she would be, the same girl that's on Call Her Daddy. And then when she came to talk to him as just Alex Cooper to pitch her business, he was completely blown away because she was very put together and professional and almost nothing like her online persona. So, you bring up a good point.
Yeah, and I don't think that my online persona is disingenuous. I think that I'm real and I try to be relatable. But I do think that if you meet me in real life, you might be a little bit surprised that I do come off a little differently.
Yeah, and I think many people don't realize that content creators are multifaceted human beings. Like they appear one way on their social media, and then they also appear many different ways depending on if you catch them with family, with friends, or significant others. So I think your social media is just one part of you. And that's what you're trying to say is people meet you and they catch you in a different day, in a different mood, and you're multifaceted. It's not just going to be the person you see in front of the camera all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, what else do I have for you? You said it's going to be 10 years of doing your food Instagram, right?
Yep.
That's crazy. Like you started when it wasn't that big yet.
Yeah.
And looking back on it now, what do you think you'd tell your younger self?
I would say the thing that I've noticed has changed the most about me is the way that I pursue friendships and relationships and the way that I engage with others. I used to have the worst social anxiety in the entire world. I remember distinctly in my last year of college, there was a party that all my friends were going to, and they asked me to go with them, and I stood outside of the party, too afraid to go in, and I turned around. And since then, so much has changed. I love going to places where I don't know anyone in the room. I'm not afraid to go to networking and food events and meet people because I've realized since then that people are interested in making new friends. They're interested in meeting new business connections and acquaintances and just making connections. I think something I would tell my younger self is to not be as afraid when going into big rooms and just be happy and put a smile on your face and other people will smile back at you.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really good advice. And your whole job is about working with people, going out there, showing your face in front of the camera. So it's really amazing that you were able to overcome that fear and put yourself out there. And now you host events.
I know.
For how many Shabbat clubs and Jewish events we have in New York City, I personally cannot say that dating has gotten any easier than it was maybe 5 years ago. It almost feels like it's gotten harder. What do you think?
I think that it depends where you're looking and how you're approaching it, because I'm not on dating apps right now, but I'm still going on dates because I put myself out there and I'm meeting a ton of people at Shabbat or at different Jewish events. You know, I met 2 people that I went out with recently at different Hanukkah parties. One of them was the saxophone player, and I gave him my number while he was playing, and I left. And we went out a bunch of times after that. I think in order to be successful with dating, you have to be willing to put yourself out there, and you can't be deflated or upset when you're out. You have to be approachable and have fun. And if you're actually having fun, then people will see that and they'll be drawn to you.
Yeah. And speaking of which, I've been dying to ask you about this. Earlier in the year, you had done this piece of content. I forget who put it together, but essentially you like dated a random person off the street. And what happened there? And what was that experience like?
Okay, that was Andrew. So we were set up on a blind date on this speed dating show for a TikTok. And he and I got along really well. We didn't end up going out again, but we are still in touch, and he's actually going to be at my Purim party. So if that says anything.
That's awesome. Blind dating is a risk, okay? Is Andrew Jewish? Yeah, if he's going to the Purim party, he's Jewish.
Andrew is Jewish. That's why they paired us together. We each filled out a survey in advance saying what our preferences were, and I said Jewish.
Okay. Yeah, I think about that a lot. I feel like if I was a guy at a Jewish event and I had a crush on one of the organizers, I wouldn't have the cojones to approach them because what if they like blacklist me from the events? You know?
Yeah, that's actually something I think about a lot, and people have told me after the fact, because I've gone out with guys who will come to my Shabbats, but they don't actually speak to me at the event. And they just say they don't want to bother me, or they're intimidated because I'm hosting and I look busy, blah, blah, blah. So I don't know how to really strike a balance, because I obviously do want to meet people, even if it's not in a romantic way. Like, I don't want people to feel like they can't come up to me and talk and become friends with me just because I'm hosting. That's part of the reason I'm hosting. I want to make new friends.
It's an interesting experience being the host and also bringing all of these people together while trying to date yourself. So it'll be interesting to see how all of that evolves. As you think through the next 10 years of Too Much Food and Shabbat Club and whatever other projects you're working on, what's a career goal you've set for yourself?
Well, I actually knew you were going to ask me this question, and I was trying to think of a good answer, and I really couldn't think of one. I think my career goal right now is to get another job, because I don't love doing my food Instagram full time. It's fun to do on the side. I love having it as a hobby, but I want to go back into the tech or startup world and feel like I'm doing something bigger. Yeah, I guess my next goal is get a new job. And I also want to go to business school. So if I can figure that out in the next few years, that would be great. In the meantime, I am focusing on growing Shabbat Club. Honestly, that is a really big part of my day-to-day. I really want it to live up to everyone else's expectations. I have really high standards for myself, and I don't really have anyone helping me. So hopefully I will find someone. I'm doing a lot of exciting stuff with that. I've been delivering Shabbat Club starter packs. So those have a little Shabbat Club sticker, 2 candles, and a matchbook with Shabbat Club branding. And I've been hand delivering them around New York City on Fridays. I think I've sold around 100 packs. So that's been really fun. And then I have a couple dinners coming up that I'm excited about. I'm not going to say where yet, because it'll be a little surprise once I reveal. One thing I'm also doing on the side is I do video content creation part-time at Jewish Food Society. They have a cookbook coming out in March, the Jewish Holiday Table, so I've been helping them with creating content surrounding the cookbook launch. I have no idea how long that will continue, but yeah, I love doing little side projects. I love filling my time. I get bored if I'm not constantly doing something, which is a trait that I get from my dad. So he has always encouraged me to find new things to do.
Cool. This is very exciting. And before we close, I have a very important question for you. What is a highly underrated Jewish food in your opinion?
My favorite, most underrated dish maybe is kugel. Like, people don't talk about kugel enough, right?
My friend Robin runs Kugela's business. She sells kugels. If you're hearing this, you heard it here first. Kugels are a very underrated food. Morgan, I have to +1 that I love kugels, both sweet and savory, and I don't see them enough anywhere.
They should be sold more. I like eating them.
Yeah, love that answer. Okay, and so as we wrap up here, how can people connect with you on social media and follow your work?
Yeah, so you can follow me on Instagram at Too Much Food with 3 O's in 2 and food. And then I also have Shabbat Club Instagram. It's just under Shabbat Club. And then on TikTok, it's just my name, Morgan.Raum.
Thanks so much. And last question for you. It's one that I ask every guest. Who would you like to nominate for the podcast?
Yeah, I want to nominate my friend Eve Halimi, who is a co-founder of Alinea Invest. She and her co-founder Anam were just nominated and won the Forbes 30 Under 30 category. And they've been highlighted in so many magazines. It's great. It's like investing, but geared towards women who aren't normally the target of a lot of, Wall Street and finance ads and marketing. So they're doing a great job. And I went to college with Eve.
This is a fantastic nomination, Morgan. I haven't had anyone on really that focuses on investing, like individual investors, especially not female investors. So this is a great suggestion, and I can't wait to meet her. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course.
Anyway, thanks again for coming on to People Do Want to Know. It was such a pleasure to have you on.
It was so nice talking to you. Thanks for having me on.
If you've enjoyed this podcast, please go ahead and rate us 5 stars. Be the first to hear our episodes by subscribing to People Do Want to Know wherever you get your podcasts. And for exclusive content, follow us on Instagram at People Do Want to Know.